A very good morning to all my dear students. Good morning, Om Krishna, Swati, Abhishek, Khushbu. Good morning, children. And also the students with us on the portal. A very good morning to all of you. So I welcome you all on behalf of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for another revisionary section today. And the name of the chapter is Audit and Auditors. Good morning, Ritu. So I hope you all have revised what we have done in our previous class, and you all are ready with a fresh mind, with your notebooks ready to make notes, whatever we are going to revise along with that. I cannot find the students on the portal. All right, just let me see how many of you are there with us on the admin portal also. Okay. So the students have joined on Zoom only as of now. Swati, good morning, child. Good morning, all of you. So we are going to do Audit and Auditors, the name of the chapter itself, something that defines the chartered accountants. All my students, my future chartered accountants are going to be the auditors one day, right? Do you understand? That is what the auditors is the role that the chartered accountants have to play. So either we are into income tax or into litigations, or we work as the auditors, right? So who is appointed as an auditor? Can you tell me? Can an MBA child, MBA person, or a student who has done a course in banking, can he be appointed as an auditor? Who is appointed as an auditor? No, ma'am. Very good. Om Krishnam is the first one to tell me no, ma'am. Why no? Because only a chartered accountant, CA, can be appointed as an auditor. So this chapter becomes very, very important for chartered accountant students, because this chapter is going to tell you how you're going to practice in future, what will happen, how a company's auditor is appointed. So Companies Act 2019, chapter number 10, specifically talks about appointing the auditors, how they're going to be appointed, how they're going to be reappointed, how the subsequent auditors come, how the casual vacancy happens. All these things are laid down in the chapter of Audit and Auditors. Now, the students who are giving both the groups, they must have seen auditing is a part of your group 2 syllabus also. So there, the basics of auditing is given, and in Companies Act, a small segment is given which defines, so that when you're studying Companies Act, you should know how after preparing the accounts of the companies, how the auditor is appointed. Now the auditor is going to come and check your financial statements. What is the role of an auditor? Why do we need an auditor? Auditor is an outside body which comes and check whether all the things of the company is as per the accounting standards. They are following all the standard practices that have been set up. Everything, the financial statements, the accounts, the books of papers, everything that you have prepared should be in line with the particular standards set up by the board, by the company. All right. All right. So you have to make sure that you revise this chapter very well, and it is a very, very important chapter. Khushbu says an auditor is a professional who examines the company's financial records. Excellent. To find whether they comply with the rules and regulations. Very good. Yes, Om Krishnam, that is correct. Only individual members and even the firms can be appointed as the. Ritu is also correct. Abhishek Singh, Swati, all of you have given the correct answers. Independent examination of entity. Absolutely correct. So now I am a company, ABC Limited. I have prepared my balance sheet, profit and loss account, and all the documents I have prepared. Now, if I only sit and check my work, I have prepared my accounts. Don't you think I know how to make accounts? I would have, and even if I check the same, so I will check in the same way, the way I have done my work. Are you agreeing with this? So sometimes I need someone else to check my work so that there is no mistake. So a child has given an exam. The child checks his question paper nicely and he feels that I'm going to get 65 out of 100 in accounts paper because this is his estimate. But when actually the papers come to him, either it is 80 plus or it is 40 plus. The marks might be different because an independent body has checked what you have done. You might be doing it the way you have thought about doing it, but sometimes we need an outsider. That is why examination papers are checked. We don't ask the students to check your paper by yourself. When you were in school, you always had a teacher who used to check your papers. So you have an estimate in your mind. Most of the time, the estimate is very close by. But when you find that the teacher might have found some mistakes in your paper. Similarly, an auditor is a person, an outside person who is going to come and see whether all the things in your companies are being managed well. Are you having proper internal controls? Whatever procedures have been laid down for purchase book, sales book, subsidiary, are you following that? They come and vouch your entries. So vouching means just checking each and everything, whether now this is part of your auditing. When you study in the auditing chapter, you will be studying in detail about how an auditor is appointed. This chapter reference will again be coming over there. But then they tell you how the internal controls are managed, how the internal papers are made. Internal auditor kaun hai, statutory auditor kaun hai, different bodies are coming, or maybe same parties may be having internal audit for a certain time, then for stat audits appointed. Who is going to do my tax audit? So everything that you have learned in accounts of companies, all those books of papers that you have prepared, now is the time to get it reviewed from someone. An outside body will come and check whether everything has been done nicely or not. So how the auditor is going to function is not part of this chapter, but how the auditor is appointed, how he is removed, how remuneration is being paid to him. If company is not following the rules laid down under section 139 to 146, what is the punishment and penalty for them? Is the auditor required to attend the AGM? What are the prohibited services? Section 144 is very important. You cannot ask your auditor to come and prepare, do your bookkeeping also. वही वो काम करेगा और उसी को चेक करेगा, फिर से डुप्लीकेशन ऑफ वर्क हो गया ना. I am an outside person. I have to come as a chartered accountant in practice. I will review your work, whether you have done it correctly or not. I will not be preparing your accounts and checking the same things again and again. So an auditor who is involved in your independent examination of books of accounts under section 144, certain services are completely prohibited. You're not supposed to do those work. So Companies Act 2013 specifically lays stress on section 139 to 146. All these provisions have to be followed as per the provisions of Companies Act 2013, as well as the company's rules reference will be given. But when you go to this chapter of auditing, separately in group 2, you will study how the audit is done. The reference will again be flowing from there, but there you get to know about each and every detail about audit hota kaise hai. How the internal controls, how the stat audit, tax audit, everything is being done. There you will be studying. In Companies Act, we have a reference. So towards the last of the chapters of Companies Act, you get the reference about the appointment of auditors. Because now you can just imagine that after Companies Act, now you're moving towards the auditing chapters. You have ended, you have learned accounts of companies, you have made your books. Now you learn about how the auditors come, how they behave, how they are removed. And then you go to the auditing book, group 2, and you study in detail about the auditing. That is how beautifully the syllabus has also been designed for you. How many chapters to be covered have been very smartly designed so that interlinking of the two groups also happen like this. So when you were studying share capital and debentures, you were having lots and lots of reference of your corporate accounting. Because you're studying those, you're doing practically questions on the basis of that, rights shares, bonus shares, all those kind of things. So this is how the interlinking of both the groups also happen. Dividend chapter is again interlinked with your accounts. So all these chapters, those who are giving both the groups should thoroughly revise and practice these chapters, because many a time, two different subjects are being covered with one chapter. All right. So I hope you have understood the chapter overview, what we are going to do in this chapter. So first, we'll be starting with the appointment of auditors, section 139, which tells you about how a first auditor is coming and how the subsequent auditors come. Yes, Ritu has written, no ma'am, self-review, threat is involved. Threat and also the independent examination cannot be done, na child. If I am only preparing my books of accounts, I am only checking, I will be the same way liberal, the way I have prepared it. Nobody is going to accept their own mistakes, right? But if I ask someone else to review it, I might find certain mistakes. So that is why audit is compulsory. It is compulsion for the companies. I will make you mark down what all companies are required to make audit committee. Audit committee becomes compulsory for certain companies. And then for 3 consecutive years, those limits have to be maintained in order to maintain that audit committee, which will be again referring the recommendations about the auditors who are to be appointed. So first of all, following companies which are required to have the audit committee. So we'll be doing section, let me just divide the chapters into 2 lectures. So today I'm having a lecture for audit and auditors, and on first also I'm having a lecture for audit and auditors. So we are going to cover section 139 to 148, roughly around 9 to 10 sections we'll be having in this chapter. Today, we'll be laying much more stress on section 139 because 139 in itself is very, very huge. It tells you how the first auditor is coming, how the subsequent auditor is coming, how the casual vacancy happens. What is the meaning of casual vacancy? It is your revisionary session today. So I'll be asking you more questions rather than explaining you, right? So what is a casual vacancy, children? Let me see how many of you are answering. Yes, Swati, Khushbu, what is casual vacancy? Vacancy means the office of the auditors get vacant, right? Vacant means khali ho jana. How can it happen? How can it get vacant by casual vacancy if he's leaving the office before time? The tenure which has been fixed, he has resigned or removal happens. So section 139 will also be covering how that casual vacancy needs to be filled up. So first we'll be appointing a first auditor who is coming and being appointed till the time of AGM. Then how the subsequent auditor is to become appointed, that we'll be discussing. Then the casual vacancies needs to be filled up. So this is all largely your section 130. Then we'll be doing removal, resignation, and giving of special notice. Where have you read this word special notice? Yes, when the auditor resigns and casual vacancy is created to be filled within 30 days. Excellent answers given by Khushbu, Swati, Om Krishnam, Ritu. Very nice. Good. So casual vacancy is to be filled by board of directors or CAG, that is Comptroller or Auditor General. So depending upon the government company, we'll be discussing about the detailed discussion of the auditors over there, and any other company also having a separate rules and regulations. Now, where was the reference of special notice? I remember I have done the revisionary of you with you of MGT also, Management and Administration. Remember there I was telling you section 115 special notice. There are few cases after the topic of ordinary and special resolution, children. We have done detailed discussion about the special notice. That 115 section has mentioned what all cases the special notice can be given by the shareholders having 1% of the total voting power or the paid up share capital equal to or more than 5 lakh, whichever is less can send the special notice. So this special notice reference is again coming in the topic of resignation and removal of auditor also. So section 40 largely talks about how the auditor needs to remove, or he can go back on his own. So appointment of auditors, we'll be referring to ADT 1 form. In the next class, remind me, I'll show you the forms also. As I've shown you in the registration of charges also, we have seen the forms. So we'll try to see some of the forms also. And removal and resignation, again, we have ADT 2 and ADT 3. Eligibility, qualification, and disqualification. Section 141 talks about who can be an auditor. So when I started the session, I asked you, can any person other than chartered accountant who is a banker, can he be an auditor? Or a cost accountant? Cost accountant can be for the items of section 148 that we have referred. The cost auditor is appointed. You can see the last section 148. But for stat audits, for tax audits, chartered accountant has to be a qualified CA in practice to be appointed as an auditor of the firm. Remuneration of the auditor. What are you going to pay him? For different services, what is he going to be charging? That is your remuneration of auditor. So the moment you are done with your inter, children, you will be starting with your articleship, and there you get lots and lots of good experience in auditing. And what is the best part of articleship when you go and do the audits? The delicious and yummy food that you get to eat at the company's site, right? So that is part of your remuneration of auditors. They always, why do you think that auditors are given so much respect and they are looked upon? That's why we say chartered accountant is such a dignified kind of course, because people look upon you, they're trusting you. That you as a chartered accountant, you're coming as an auditor and checking my books. I'm very a little scared and anxious also. There should not be any mistakes. Somebody else has done whole work sitting day and night preparing their books of accounts, financial statement, balance sheet. Now you are going to find the mistakes in that. So see such a dignified, so not just enjoy the food that you get to eat in the articleship as an auditor, but also try to gain as much as possible the learning that you can get from that. So the best articleship you do while learning about the auditing terms, the more it will benefit you when you become chartered accountants, future chartered accountants, and you go into the field of practicing. It will be really, really helpful for you. All right. Okay. Yes, definitely, Khushbu. The related degrees, it can enhance your employability if you have certain kind of courses you have done related to taxation and all. But only a CA in practice can be appointed as the auditor. Okay, so that will be covering in section 141, then 142 powers and auditors, remuneration of the auditors, and then powers and duties. So we'll largely try to see 139, 140, 141, and 142 in today's session, and then balance we'll be covering in the on 1st of December, the second session that we have for audit and auditors. Okay. All right. Now let's start with applicability of audit committee. So the moment you talk about appointing the auditors, we have the audit committee. So section 177, I told you we'll be referring to Companies Act 2013. Along with that, the rules 2014, as they have been flowing in all the chapters, companies meetings of board and its powers rules. So here, what kind of rules? The board meetings and its powers, which has been given to them under 2014 rules. Audit committee shall be constituted by board of directors. So who is forming the audit committee? The company. Now, again, we're discussing in detail about how the company is going to start the appointment of auditors. Before appointing the auditors, you need to set up an audit committee. Who is going to appoint this audit committee? By board of directors, this audit committee will be appointed. Which all companies need to appoint the audit committee? So it says audit committee shall be appointed by board of directors in case of every listed public company. So public company which is listed has to appoint an audit committee. It is compulsion for them. All right. There are some certain special companies which have to appoint the audit committees. Number one, listed public companies. What about the unlisted public companies? Which unlisted public companies? The companies having a paid up capital of more than or equal to 10 crore rupees, turnover of 100 crore rupees or more, and or outstanding loans. So everywhere it is or. Either you have the paid up share capital more than 10 crores, then you need to appoint the audit committee. If you have the borrowings, loans, deposits exceeding 50 crore, then you have to appoint the audit committee. Or if none of them you're having, but the turnover goes up 100 crores, then you need to appoint the audit. So it is very, very important to see which all companies are going to appoint the audit committee. Number one, every listed public company. And for the unlisted public company, what are the limits that you have to learn? The limits of paid up share capital more than 10 crores, turnover more than 100 crores, borrowings, loans, deposits exceeding 50 crores. Any one of the condition met, then you need to appoint the audit committee. Now, these paid up share capital and turnover limit shall be existing on the last audited financial statements. So the last date of the financial statements, it has to be taken. The limits have to be as per the last audited financial statements. The limits have to be taken. So if I maintain these limits for 1 year, is it only required to be maintained for 1 year? Then I can be appointing an audit committee? The answer is no. Company ceases to fulfill any of these conditions for the consecutive 3 years. Then it's not required to comply with the provisions of audit committee. So in order to have the audit committee applicability, for how many years you have to maintain these limits? Tell me in the chat box. 7 years, 5 years, 3 years. For how many consecutive years these limits needs to be maintained? Excellent. For 3 consecutive years. What is the meaning of consecutive, children? 2009, I was having Divyanshi Garg has joined us over here. Yes, good answers given by you, Divyanshi Garg. I'm reading all your answers, right? So 3 consecutive years is the correct answer. So if 2019, I was having this limits, for 2020, I'm not having this limit, then these provisions will not stop getting complied with. Then you're not required to comply with the provisions of audit committee. But 2019, 2021, for 3 consecutive years you're having, then you need to comply with the provisions of the audit committee. Clear? Now, every company shall appoint. Now, this talks about the appointment of the auditor, but another important point I want to tell about the audit committee, you can write it down in your notes. 3 exemption companies, 3 companies are exempted, which do not require audit committee. They never need to have an audit committee. Can you tell me which are the 3 companies which are exempted from appointing the audit committee? You can refer to your study material and tell me. 3 consecutive years was the correct answer. Ritu, Swati, Kushbu, Om Krishnam, all of you have given the correct answers. And Swati, that's correct. Board of Directors is going to appoint it. Which are the companies? Very good, Om Krishnam Gupta. Small companies, dormant companies, joint ventures, and wholly owned subsidiary companies. Okay, so the 3 companies which are not required to maintain the audit committees are joint ventures, wholly owned subsidiary companies, and the dormant companies are not required to comply with the provisions of the audit committee. Clear? So these limits have to be learned by you, and 3 consecutive years was the important point that you all have to remember. Now let's talk about the appointment of the auditors. How an auditor is appointed. So there are 2 different scenarios to that, a normal companies and the auditors appointed in the government companies. It says every company shall appoint an individual or firm as an auditor. What is the meaning of firm? What is the meaning of firm, children? What is it trying to tell you? Can we have only Mr. X being appointed as the auditor? Or can we have XYZ associates as the auditors? Either of them can be appointed. Excellent. A firm. So what are chartered accountant firms? Can you name some of the CA firms? Either of them can be appointed, yes. Deloitte, E&Y, PwC, KPMG. What are these? Your big 4 CA firms. You have a dream of working in such companies and firms, right? So these are the audit firms which can be appointed. Excellent. Good names given by Swati. Anybody else? You don't know the audit firms' names, children? Absolutely correct. Every company can either appoint an individual. Let's assume Mr. X. Okay, very good. PwC, KPMG. Very good. Om Krishnam, Swati. Correct. All of you have given the good names. So these are the audit firms. Company shall appoint an individual. Let's appoint Mr. X as an individual or KPMG, the firm, as the auditor at the first annual general meeting. What is AGM? Grant Thornton. Very good, Abhishek Singh. Yes, good. Now everybody's coming. So, what is AGM? So see how beautifully the sequence of chapters flows. We have discussed about AGM, EGM, board meeting in the chapter of MGT. Then you discussed about accounts of companies, revisions have been done. Now we are doing the audit of the same books of accounts and we are giving a reference to the first AGM. So how the auditor is going to be appointed, every company shall appoint. Say, for example, Mr. X was appointed as an auditor of the company at the first AGM. For how long this Mr. X is going to hold the office? For how long the first auditor is going to hold the office? You have to tell me, children. It is your revision going on. If company decides Mr. X will be appointed as the first auditor, for how long he'll be holding the office, then within first 30 days, board will decide who's the first auditor. And if the board fails to recommend, then within how many days the shareholders have to appoint the auditor? Till the conclusion of next AGM. Absolutely correct. Om Krishnam, Swati, Khushbu, Abhishek Singh, excellent student, very nice. So this auditor is going to hold the office till the next AGM. And how many days the auditor is going to decide about the appointment of the auditors? Within how many days? Within 30 days, the board is going to give a recommendation that this Mr. X, we have decided to appoint him as an auditor. And if board fails to do so, excellent answer given by Abhishek Singh, within 90 days, the shareholders are going to appoint the auditor. And in which meeting? Om Krishnam, 30 days, first 30 days, the board is going to recommend. If board fails to do that, then how many days are given to the shareholders, children? 90 days are given to the shareholders. So next 90 days, the shareholders are going to appoint the auditor in which meeting? Annual general meeting or extraordinary general meeting? Tell me. In which meeting this? Excellent, excellent, very nice. Extraordinary general meeting. So the first annual general meeting, the first auditor is appointed. He is going to hold the office till the next AGM. Board will be given 30 days time period. If board fails to do so, 90 days time period will be given to the shareholders and they will appoint the auditor in EGM, that is extraordinary general meeting. Ritu, Swati, Kushbu, all of you are correct. Good. So total how many days we are giving? 120 days are given to a company in order to take the call about the appointment of the auditor. How the subsequent auditor is appointed now? What happened with the subsequent auditor? This was for the first audit. How the subsequent auditor is appointed? The auditor will hold the office from the conclusion of first AGM till the conclusion of its sixth AGM and thereafter till the conclusion of every sixth AGM. What is the meaning of this line? Holding the office till sixth AGM. So for first 5 years, for 5 consecutive years, you can be appointed as an auditor and then again you go for a cooling period. So what happens in case of an individual and a firm? The firm can be appointed as an auditor for the first consecutive 5 years and again for the next 5 consecutive years. And then it goes for the cooling period of next 5 years. So let's take 2 examples. It's not allowing me to write it down. Otherwise, I would have written it down for all of you. Just trying to see if I can get some whiteboard or something. It's not possible. Okay, so you can write down for the firm. For first 5, Mr. X is appointed as an auditor. He's going to remain as an auditor for the first 5 years. 5 consecutive years, he can hold the office. And then for 5 years, he goes into cooling period, means now he cannot be appointed for the next 5 years. And what happens with the firm? Firm is appointed for the first 5 years. Then reappointment happens for another 5 years. Then it goes into the cooling period of 5 years. So 5, 5, and then cooling. And then fresh appointment 5 years, reappointment, and then 5 years cooling. So basically consecutive 10 years a firm is getting and an individual get 5 years consecutive for being appointed as the auditor of the company. So he holds the office till the 6th AGM and then again from 6 to 11th and 11 to 16. That is how the periods goes on. Everyone is clear about that? Now let's discuss about the manner and procedure of selection of the auditors. First of all, who is going to select the auditor? Who is going to appoint the auditors? Who is the competent authority? Competent authority is the audit committee. The first recommendation will be given by the audit committee. To whom they're going to recommend? If you're not required to constitute an audit committee, then board of directors will have to decide. But who will select the auditor? So the competent authority is audit committee. Audit committee will decide. Let's say, for example, audit committee recommended that we want PwC to be the auditors of a company, ABC Limited. Your auditors will be PwC. Now, audit committee will give this recommendation to board of directors that we want to appoint PwC as our auditors. Now, board of directors will go and check whether PwC, they're okay with this and they will tell their shareholders to appoint PwC by passing a resolution in the general meeting. Is that correct? So what is the first step of subsequent auditors? Audit committee will go to the board of directors. Board of directors will then recommend the shareholders and the auditor, subsequent auditor will be appointed. Clear? But if board of directors is not happy with PwC, if they find that this company, this organization has been involved in any frauds or scams, or we are not happy with the way they were doing audit, so they don't want PwC to be appointed as the auditors. Then what will happen? Then they will go back to the audit committee and ask them to reconsider their decision. Number 1 case is audit committee gives a recommendation to board of directors. Board of directors will recommend to the shareholders. Auditor will be appointed. Or the second case, they go back to the audit committee and they tell them that we don't want PwC, we want somebody else to be appointed. And please reconsider your decision. These are the reasons why we want him not to be appointed. Now, audit committee will again reconsider their suggestion and again they will suggest to the board of directors. फिर से वही होगा, board of directors, if they find it fine, they will go to the shareholders. Shareholders will pass the general meeting. Otherwise, they will again refer back to the audit committee to reconsider. So this is how the appointment of subsequent auditors is happening with the reference of audit committee giving the recommendation to board of directors and then board of directors will be giving the recommendation further to the shareholders to appoint this particular person as an individual or the firm as an auditor. If board agrees with the recommendation, then they recommend the individual. If they disagree, they go back to the committee and refer. So these are the points of differences that I've written down for you in the notes. Now what will happen? Before taking the consent of auditor, there's another point. If audit committee did not agree, so angry board went back to the audit committee. They said, we don't want PwC as an auditor. Please change it to E&Y. We are more happy with E&Y. We like their services and they're giving more services at a good remuneration. So we want to appoint them. But there is still a disagreement. Audit committee is not agreeing with the board of directors. Then board of directors will record the reasons of this disagreement and they will send this as a board recommendation and board will appoint the new auditor. So whenever there is a conflict of the agreement between board of directors and audit committee, such questions can come in the MCQ, children. So if there is a conflict between audit committees and board of directors decision, whose decision will be taken? Then board's recommendation will be taken for the new auditor and shareholder are going to appoint this new auditor by passing OR or SR in the meeting. Answer me. Shareholders are going to pass OR or SR. Appointment of the auditors, simply an OR is required to be passed. Board will go to the shareholders. They will tell, we are not happy with the PwC. Chodo audit committee ne jo bhi kaha. We are going to appoint E&Y as the auditors. Competent authority is audit committee. They are recommending to the board. Superior power remains with the board of directors only. They will record the reasons why we don't want him to be appointed. And Khushbu and Om Krishnam, excellent answers. OR needs to be passed. Abhishek Singh, excellent. All of you, very nice children. This is how you have to learn the things. जब learn हो जाएगा ना, tips पे आ जाएगा, तो exam में लिखना becomes very, very easy. So I'm very happy teaching all of you because you have been answering, always you have been answering, sitting attentively and listening to the lecture and you also answer back. So very nice, children. So now OR will be passed. Another question to all of you, while audit committee is recommending his recommendation for the auditor, he needs to check 3 things. What are those 3 things? Audit committee, while recommending the auditor, he needs to check out the 3 things who can be appointed as an auditor. Let me open the study also for all of you so that we all know where are we referring to. Number 1, the qualification of an auditor, right? The auditor should be a qualified one. He shall be an eligible person who can be appointed as an auditor. Number 2, he should not be found guilty of any professional misconduct. Professional misconduct kya hota hai? He should have not done anything wrong which is professionally unethical. So he should not have done any such kind of thing. So this is how your appointment of auditors is happening. First, you will discuss about this chapter. Again, the briefing that I have given you. Person who takes care of finances and the real owners, and then somebody comes and do your audit. And then how can the auditor and firm will be appointed? Any of them can be appointed. You have discussed about the firm under the LLP also and under the Partnership Act also. Okay. Tenure of appointment from 1st to 6th AGM. See how beautifully diagrams have been made. So first 5 years you can be appointed. Rochelle Tax has incorporated during the financial year 23-24. The first AGM of the company was held on 30th September. They have appointed chartered accountants for the period of 5 years as a subsequent. Fair enough. Example 1. I hope everyone is clear about this. All the examples you should read, children. All the examples in the study material. So this is what I've told you about the audit committee is the competent authority. If a board of directors is not satisfied with the audit committee, then their decision will go final. So if board disagrees, they will give their recommendation back, giving the reasons for the disagreement. Let's do this example number 2. Yes, I was telling you what 3 things audit committee has to consider. Number 1, the auditor should not be guilty of professional misconduct. Number 2, the qualifications and experience. And his experience shall commensurate with the company. So whatever is your qualification and experience, it shall commensurate means it should be related to the requirements of the company. If I am looking for a banker for my bank, then that child should be having qualification which goes well with the banker. Okay, so whatever your qualifications are required for that particular requirements, GDs of the companies, that shall be matching with the experience and qualification of the auditor. This is how subsequent auditor is appointed. So example number 2, audit committee recommended KPMG and Associate Chartered Accountants for appointment as statutory auditor to the board of Surya Solar Limited. So audit committee is recommending that KPMG shall be appointed as the auditor. Board disagreed. Board is not happy with KPMG. They said, please reconsider back your decision. We don't want him to be appointed. And also citing the reasons. You have to give the reasons why you don't want them to be appointed. There shall be some reason. You cannot just say that. Again, remember Indian Partnership Act, right? We used to tell expelling a partner from the firm. You cannot just expel him because you don't like his face. You have to give valid reasons. Similarly, if audit committee is giving a recommendation, then board has to cite a reason of the disagreement, why we're not agreeing. Maybe they have not done certain work properly in another organization, or any scam is involved, or any fraud is involved, whatever is the reason. The audit committee will consider these reasons and decide not to reconsider its original recommendation, means they will try to change it. Board will record their reasons and send their own recommendation. So if they're still having a disagreement, board will send their own recommendation, and then AGM, general meeting, members will pass the resolution and appoint a new auditor as per the recommendation given by the board of directors. And these are the limits you have already learned. So you can refer to the study material, but in the presentation, I have just made the notes in a simpler way for all. See section 177, they have written it specifically. It is not part of intermediate syllabus, but necessary to build the understanding. So that's why I told you audit, we are moving towards now auditing books and then further towards the CA final works. So that's how the syllabus has been drafted for you. Okay, now let's take the written consent of the auditor. Can you appoint the auditor without taking consent in writing from him? Do you think there is a requirement to take any written consent from the auditor? Yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am? Also the reason why. Why do you think a written consent is required? Why do you feel that there is a need of having a written consent from the auditor? A document is being maintained, right? That this person is now going to be acting as an auditor in my company. We have taken a written consent. Kal ko agar wo mana kar deta hai, he denies, then we have a copy of written consent, right? The record is with the company. They can show them that KPMG has already agreed to become our auditors. Now they are being appointed the auditors for the tenure of 5 years. Also, the certificate has to be obtained from the audit. Everyone is clear about this written consent. So now this consent of the auditors who is proposed or selected, now we're going to do its points as per Rule 4 of the company's audit rules. So number 1 point you can write down over here. Number 1 point is the written consent. Number 2 point is for the certificate. A certificate also to be taken from the auditor. Now, what kind of certificate this auditor is given? That this individual, Mr. X, or the firm KPMG is eligible and is not disqualified from the appointment under the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. So what act regulates you as the future chartered accountants? We all are regulated by the Chartered Accountants Act 1949, a statutory body which governs and makes all the rules and regulations for us. So we are given the membership number under this Chartered Accountants Act 1949. Okay. So we have to make sure that you're not disqualified. You have to give a certificate. I'm not disqualified. My membership number is still not seized, not taken away from me. I'm not disqualified person. This certification has to be given by the auditor or the firm of the auditor firm which is going to be appointed as the auditor. Proposed appointment shall be as per the terms provided. What are the terms? All those provisions of audit committee, board of directors, shareholders have to be followed. And it shall be within the limits laid down. So you cannot be auditor of more than 20 companies. So this limit we'll be doing in the further sections. So all those limits that has been laid down, the appointment shall be as per those limits. List of the proceedings against the auditor or any with respect to professional matters of conduct. This certificate shall also indicate whether auditor satisfies the criteria given under 141. What is 141, children? 141, yes, as a proof, the same as with the auditor. Om Krishnam, very good answer. It is a proof. The written consent gives us the proof. And what is this 141, children? It tells us about the qualification, disqualification of the auditor. So certificate may mention hoga that we are eligible as per the criteria of 141. So don't keep thinking what we have to fill. Just go to 141. You know what is 141. All these points have to be certified. All right. Yes, Abhishek Singh. Very good. Eligibility criteria. So I hope you are marking down in the points with me in the study material. Point number 1, written consent. Point number 2, certificate. This question has come once in the exam. What shall the certificate include? So you have to learn it as it is. The certificate shall be stating all these provisions have been complied. All right, children. Notice to the registrar. Then third point is in ADT 1 form, you have to inform the registrar within 15 days that the auditor is appointed. So what is ADT 1 form? Tell me. ADT 1 form किस चीज का? अपॉइंटमेंट का है, रिमूवल का है, रेजिग्नेशन का है? ADT audit briefing, short version of the forms. Registration of charges may we did CHG forms, deposits may we did DPT forms, audit chapter is ADT forms. Is that correct? Now, what is this NFARA they are referring to? National Financial Reporting Authority. So this is just for your understanding. They are saying for excellent appointment of auditors. All of you have given the correct answer. Ritu, Kushbu, Om Krishnam, Swati, Abhishek, Great. So ADT 1 form will be given within 15 days. So you have appointed the auditor on 30th September. By 1st October, 15th October, please file this ADT 1 form with the registrar. And and in what cases you have to tell the National Financial Reporting Authority? It says every existing body corporate other than the company. So which is the body corporate other than the company? Foreign companies. So foreign companies also body corporate. Indian companies have to give ADT 1. So foreign companies or any other body corporate, they need to inform the National Financial Reporting Authority within 30 days by filing the form number NFRA 1. So it simply says if you are a normal Indian company, 15 days में आप ADT 1 दे देना. And if any company other than the Indian companies, any body corporate that is like foreign companies, they have to give NFRA 1 in 30 days of the appointment of the auditor. Okay, this much you have to refer from here. Then your term of the auditor. For how long the auditor is to be appointed? Rule number 5, we are going to understand listed companies and what is the limits of the unlisted companies. Again, those unlisted companies excluding 1% and small companies. So that means exception has been given to OPC and small companies. Swati says, yes, Swati, all the provisions for ROC is 30 days. Here it is only 15 days. So it becomes very, very important. ADT 1 ka sirf 15 days ka diya hua. So that the registrar should be informed as early as possible about the appointment of the auditors. So again, this can be an MCQ based question. 30 days wo likh kar dega aapko choice mein, and you have to remember it is 15 days. Okay, so you have to learn all these kind of provisions. So now listed companies are going to appoint the auditors, and all companies having a paid up share capital of unlisted public company में क्या-क्या limits हैं? Paid up share capital of 10 crore or more, turnover of 100 crores or more, and the borrowings exceeding 50 crores or more. Private limited companies having a paid up capital of 50 crores or more. So where larger public stake is involved, and it is talking about the maximum term and length of individuals. So since maximum of public stake is involved, so many borrowings of 50 crores, private companies having a paid up share capital of 50 crore, unlisted public companies having a paid up share capital of 10 crores or more, then these companies need to appoint the auditor for a consecutive period of 5 years or audit firm for 2 terms for the consecutive 5 years. So individual I am appointing for the consecutive period of 5 years, then it goes into cooling period. So say for example, 2018, I have appointed Mr. X as an auditor. For how long he can remain my auditor? Mr. X appointed as an auditor in the AGM of the company in year 2018. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. By 2023, he'll go to cooling period 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. For till 2017, he cannot, 27, he cannot be appointed for the 5 consecutive years. He will be the appointment. Next 5 years, he go to cooling period. But if an audit firm, KPMG, has been appointed as an auditor in 2018, then 2018 till 23, they will be appointed as the auditor. 2023 to 2027, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they'll be appointed as the auditor, and then 27 se lekar 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 till 2032, they will not be appointed. They will go into the cooling period. Have you understood appointment of the auditor section 139? I hope it's clear to everyone. Let's do this example number 3 and 4 also, but we'll have to hurriedly do it because we have to complete the syllabus, and it is a revisionary session, but still we are doing each and everything in detail. XYZ Limited, which is a listed company, appoints individual Mr. Raghav as an auditor dated 29 September 2022. So they have appointed the auditor in 29 September 22. Mr. Raghav hold the office from the conclusion of this meeting till the conclusion of the 6th AGM to be held in 27. So this conclusion of this meeting, 29 September ko he is appointed, 22. So 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So till 27 he is going to hold. He shall not be appointed as the reappointed as the auditor till the 6th AGM 27. Is that clear, everyone? Example number 3. You can refer to example number 4 for your own reference. Individual auditor who has completed shall not be eligible for reappointment for the 5 years. So examiner can give you questions on the basis of cooling period. So till 27 he is the auditor, 27 till 32 he cannot be appointed as the auditor for the next 5 years. And again, audit firm. Now what happens? Audit firm is appointed as an auditor for the first 5 years and second 5 years is the reappointment. Then it goes into the cooling period and after that a fresh appointment and then reappointment and then. Individual का क्या होगा? First 5 years appointment, cooling period, again appointment. Firm का appointment, reappointment, cooling period, a fresh appointment, reappointment. Individual appointment, cooling period, appointment. All right. So one term of consecutive 5 years is from first AGM till 6th AGM. Conclusion of the first AGM till 6th AGM, 5 years हो गया. For 5 years from the completion of his term till 11th AGM. So till 11th AGM, he will not be appointed, cannot be reappointed again. Here, from first AGM till 11th AGM for 5 consecutive years, 2 terms, and then from the completion of its second term till 16th AGM, he will not be appointed. Is that clear to everyone? Example number 5, आप पढ़ सकते हो. You can study example 5 and 6 and 7 are totally related to the terms period. So now let's do this last point of transitional period. Every company who is required to comply with the provisions of A to D, that is provisions of the subsection, shall comply within a period not later than the first AGM to be held within the specified period of section 96 after 3 years from the date of commencement of this act. So it says whenever the transitional period is happening, if under section 96 you're holding the AGM and any company which was existing before the commencement of the act, then extension of 3 years is given. So firm can be appointed for 5 years, 10 years, and then it goes into cooling period. But if you have already been appointed for 5 years and this provision comes, additional 3 years you can be appointed. You've already been appointed for 10 years, additional 3 years you can be appointed. You have been appointed for 8 years, additional 3 years you can be appointed. So 3 years additional time period is given, then you come back to the same provision of 5 years and then going into the cooling. Understood, children? First auditor who is an individual can be reappointed. And yes, Abhishek Singh. So the first auditor who is appointed holding the office till the first AGM, that tenure of first auditor for the first year is not counted in the period of 5 years. Okay, yes, Abhishek Singh, he can be appointed for another tenure of 5 years. Very nice question. Okay, understood? Okay. So let's take a small break over here, children, and then we'll move to section number 140. Let's take a small break here. Welcome back, students. So I hope you have revised. You have read till section 139, no doubts in that. One important point is left in section 139, that is appointment of auditors in case of a government company. I hope my camera is visible now. Yes. So how the auditor is appointed in case of a government company. So we were giving 30 days. Board was giving a recommendation. 90 days were giving to the shareholders. What happens in case of a government company? How many days are given to CA and AG to appoint the auditor? The first auditor is to be appointed in how many days? Within 60 days. Excellent. Very good. Khushbu is saying 15 days. Khushbu, 15 days was for the registrar. Yes, my screen is visible, sir. I think the net went off in between. Am I audible? It's not visible? All right, sir. Yes, student. I'm very sorry. I think the net just went off in between. So yes, Kushbu, I was telling you 15 days was for the 81 form that you have to file with the registrar. Here I'm asking you for the government auditor in case of a government company, the first auditor is appointed in how many days? So within 60 days, CAG will give the reference for the appointment for 60 days will be given to Comptroller and Auditor General for the appointment of the auditor in case of a government company. And then what will happen? Still, if in 60 days CNAG has not applied, then how many days will be given to the board of directors? Now tell me, now you all are on the track. Excellent, yes. Now next 30 days will be given to board of directors. Very good, Abhishek Singh, Om Krishnam, Khushbu, Ritu, all of you. Good. Swati, correct. 30 days will be given. And if still board has not appointed in 30 days, how many days are given to the shareholders? 60 days are given. So total, how many days you're giving? For the first auditor in normal companies, you're giving 120 days. And in case of government companies, you're giving 150 days. So 60 days to the controller auditor because it is government company, it takes more days. In government companies, the things go a little more slow, little more casual. So number of days are more. There you're giving 30 days and 60 days. Here you're giving 60 days, 30 days, and then 60 days to the shareholder. Total 150 days are given for the appointment of the first auditor. And this first auditor is again going to hold the office till the first AGM. Now listen to the question very carefully, children. The new auditor is appointed in the government company for the start of the new year. Is he going to hold the office for 5 years or 6 years? In case of a government company, auditor is appointed for how many years? Let me check your knowledge. I have explained you about normal companies. For government companies, I'm asking you. For 5 years, Swati, are you sure? In case of a government company, very good, Om Krishna. After the first AGM, he's going to hold the office. That's correct. Every year, a new auditor is appointed in government company. In government company, not having the provision for 5 years. Every year, a new auditor is to be appointed. New auditor is to be appointed in government company from the start of year. All right. So if in 180 days, 150 days you have not appointed, then you can't have the same person for the next 5 years. New person is appointed every year who will hold the office till the next AGM. AGM आया, vacancy. AGM आया, vacancy. So you're holding the office only till the next AGM. If casual vacancy occurs, then C and AG will appoint the auditor in how many days? Very good. 180 days from the financial year commencement. Abhishek Singh, excellent. Good answer. For the first year, 180 days from the commencement of the financial year. Very good. And then he's going to hold the office for 1 year till the next AGM. Every year, new auditor is to be appointed. If casual vacancy occurs, then within how many days C and AG is going to appoint? Within 30 days. Now, because a casual vacancy has occurred, emergency has arisen. So within 30 days, you have to appoint the auditors, and board will also get 30 days. And this auditor is again going to hold the office till the next AGM. Everyone is clear about the government company auditor also. Also, let's have a small discussion about the casual vacancy which is created. If the casual vacancy is created, means before your tenure, you're leaving the firm, or the auditor has become sick, he has gone mad, or because of any reason the office gets vacant, then within how many days the board of director needs to fill the vacancy? The same way CNAG needs to fill the vacancy in 30 days, here also the board needs to fill the vacancy within 30 days. And this new person will remain the auditor till the next AGM. So common provision of 30 days in both the companies. The only difference is for the first auditor, there you're getting 30 and 60, 120 days. Here you're getting 60, 30 and 60 days, 150. Clear? And another 15 days provision was for the registrar filing ADT 1, that is for 15. So 139 is totally covered. Now let's move to manner of rotation of auditor, rule 6 also we are yet to do it. Okay, another question for all of you for resignation. I want to ask one question. In case of a resignation, if resignation is there and new auditor needs to be appointed, then within how many days the shareholder will give the approval? The board has given the recommendation. Within how many days the shareholder will give the approval by passing ordinary resolution in 3 months of the board's appointment of this auditor. So board will, in case he has resigned, then within 3 months, the board's recommendation has come, shareholders will appoint it. Not 30 days, 3 months. Yes, Khushbu, absolutely correct. 3 months is the time period for correct, Swati. Okay. Now let's move to section number 140. Let me just see if we have covered section 139 completely. Manner of rotation of auditor. Again, we have discussed about the audit committee will be recommending to the board, and again, subsequent auditors have been discussed in detail. How the rotation of auditors happen. So if you're breaking the chain of 5 continuous years, you were appointed as the auditor for 5 continuous years, and you said that after 2 years, we want to take a break, and we'll not be after 3 years if you took a break. But then you realize that, okay, fine, I can still work for 2 years more. Can you be allowed to work for the same 5 consecutive years, or a fresh appointment needs to be done? Tell me. And auditors XYZ Associates firm was appointed as the auditor of the company, and after 3 years, they said we need to resign. But then they later realize that, okay, my 2 years are left. I don't want to leave now. I want to complete 2 years. Can they do that, or fresh appointment is required? Tell me, children. Absolutely correct. You need a fresh appointment. Once you have resigned, you need a fresh appointment. Okay, so this all the points are covered over here that we have discussed related to the Comptroller and Auditor General, central government, all these provisions. Okay, fresh appointment is required. Correct answer given by all of you. Now let's move to section number 140. The auditor who is appointed under 139 may be removed from his office before the expiry of the term. So one is removal, one is resignation. Removal का मतलब होता है निकाल देना, remove कर देना. Okay, when you are removing, you will be giving him additive 2 form, you are going out. And if you willingly want to resign, I want to leave the firm, I don't want to work as your auditor, then ADT 3 form will be filled in by the auditor and given. So ADT 1 is for the appointment. ADT 2 is for the, you have to tell me, your revision is going on. ADT2 is for the removal of the auditor. ADT3 form is for the resignation by the auditor. So if the auditor is being removed, 139 में हमने auditor appoint करा, reappointment करा, 5 years firm, cooling period, again fresh appointment. 5 years appointment individual, cooling period, again 5 years appointment. Government company, we have discussed. Casual vacancy, we have discussed. So 139 told us all about the appointment of the auditor. Now we are going to remove that auditor who was appointed under 139 before the term. 5 years, if after 5 years you're going, then it is not a removal, children. Then your tenure is completed and you're leaving the firm. Then rotation of auditors is happening, which is all given in rule number 6 that we have briefly discussed. So auditor appointed under 139 may be removed before the expiry of term by passing the SR of the company. And after obtaining the previous approval of central government, application has to be made in ADT2 form. ADT2 form में first board resolution will be passed. How the auditor is to be removed? Either by board, by shareholders, or by the tribunal. These are the three people who are going to remove the auditor. So first we are understanding how the board of directors are going to remove the auditors. Board of director will pass a resolution in the board meeting. Application will be made to the central government in ADT2 form. Board meeting hoga. They will decide that we are planning to remove Mr. X as the auditor. Approval has to be taken from the central government. So they will submit ADT2 form to the central government saying that Mr. X, we are going to remove him as the auditor. Now, when the central government gives their approval, within how many days the general meeting will be called and for removing the auditor? So the general meeting will occur within 60 days of the approval of the central government. SR will be passed for the removal of this auditor. So how we have to learn it? Number 1 point, board will pass the meeting, board resolution will happen. ADT2 form, central government के पास गए. Central government has given the approval in 30 days. You have filed the board resolution in ADT2. Central government gave the approval in 60 days. Shareholders will pass the SR and remove the auditor. Is that clear? Everyone is clear about the removal of auditor by board. Now let's discuss the shareholder. This is the summary for the removal of auditor. Special notice. Okay, we will discuss about the first is board meeting is to be held to decide about the removal. Application to be made to the central government in ADT2, approval of CG, and after approval of special notice needs to be sent. Now the special notice, first point, listen to me for the first special notice. Now before removal, a chance of oral presentation has to be given to the auditor that you can come and orally give your representation that why you should not be removed. Very important point. MCQ में आ सकता है. Do you think oral representation chance can be given to the auditor? Absolutely rare. Yes, chance can be given to the auditor to present himself. This is known as principle of natural justice. Opportunity of being heard. हमें किसी को भी remove करना है, किसी के against decision लेना है, they can be given a reasonable auditor, shall be given a reasonable opportunity of being heard. In yellow box, you can read this. After passing a special resolution, then you will pass a special resolution and auto removal will happen. So in this case, a special notice is how the shareholder is removing. The first part, board meeting wala se board resolution se hum remove kare. Special notice se shareholders is removing the auditor. How the shareholder can remove? Shareholder needs to send special notice. Again, section 115 wala special notice, 1% of the total voting power of paid up capital more than equal to 5 lakhs. Whichever is less, they will send the special notice in order to remove Mr. X as the auditor. So special notice needs to be sent. And that for passing a special resolution, remember that notice needs to contain this message that this meeting is going to happen in which we are going to discuss about the removal of the auditor. So the special notice will be given, board meeting will take place, this application will be given to the CG, edited to 30 days, and then CG's approval will be taken. Then auditor's removal ke baad, you will give the auditor a chance to be heard, special resolution in the general meeting, and the auditor will be removed. So even if you remember this chart, that is sufficient. Now this beautiful chart is taken from your own very saransh, uploaded by on the ICAI website. I told you earlier also, please do visit to all these beautiful work done by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for the comfort of all of you students. Institute is making so much efforts for you to summarize the notes beautifully. They have decorated the things. You just have to open the books and study it. That is only required from your side. And trust me, if you make your notes as colorful as possible, you enjoy studying. Can you see the difference? This was the difference to show you. This is how we read from the rules and sections, and this is how we present it in the form of summarized, colorful manner. and things become so easy. Now you'll never forget this is special notice blue mein tha, फिर board meeting tha. And when you're writing the paper, these things come back from your subconscious mind that okay, fine, I've read it, something in yellow, it was written that reasonable opportunity of being heard has to be given. Okay, and don't worry, I understand syllabus is too vast. You tend to forget the things, so it's natural, it's okay, don't worry about that. But repetitively doing the things again and again, revising them, going through the pages, flipping the pages, having revisionary sessions. See, so much effort Institute is making. One, we are having the lectures with you where we have taught you and explained you everything. Then we have second things, revisionary with all of you. So each and every child must attend these revisionary sessions. I think it's a blessing for all of you. When you are doing it, revising it with the teachers, automatically your revision is happening. And these 2.5 hours, you're doing, giving your best to the things, and then the things are done. You just have to flip the pages. 1 hour more, you'll sit, your chapter is done. So take the full advantage of whatever you're getting, children. You must take the advantage of these kind of things. Studying is the only thing which can help you to clear your exams with good 60 plus marks. All right. Okay. So everyone is clear about the provisions of removal and resignation. Removal we have discussed. We have not discussed resignation. Any doubts still here, children? Anyone has any doubts? You can raise your hands also. You can speak also if you have any doubts. Okay. Shall we proceed ahead? Okay. So now if auditor has resigned himself, so this was the provision of removal and this is the chart for removal. Now we're talking about resigning. You yourself as an auditor, Mr. X feels that I don't want to audit your company anymore. I want to leave the company. And this company is like, no, you can't leave us. Why are you giving us a resignation paper? Can the company stop him like this? Can the company say that, oh, we have received a resignation notice. Why are you leaving? What will happen with us? How will we now appoint a new auditor? Can they stop the auditor from leaving? No. Once the auditor has resigned, once he has given the notice, he can, within 30 days, he can file ADT1 giving a reason, ADT3, sorry. Within 30 days, he can file ADT3 with the registrar. And in case of government company with whom you need to file this controller and auditor general CNAG के साथ आप reasons satisfy करोगे. What are my reasons for resignation? If he's an auditor of government company or any other company owned and controlled by government, then he has to file the notice of the reasons with CNAG. Otherwise, with the registrar within 30 days of his resignation in the form number ADT3, indicating the reasons that why I don't want to continue as the auditor of the respective company. And if he does not comply with filing of the statement, what will be the penalty, children? 50,000 or an amount equal to remuneration of the auditor can be charged as a penalty. So you cannot leave like this. You have to give a notice. Yes, company cannot force you or stop you, but your requirement as an auditor before resigning is to give a notice within 30 days with the registrar and in case of government company with the CNAG, giving the reasons why you're getting yourself removed as an auditor. And in case of a continuous failure, 500 each day after which the default continues, maximum up till rupees 2 lakhs, the fine can. So now again, the fine for these companies. Thank you so much, Om Krishnam. I'm glad that you enjoyed the sessions. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Now, if this requirement of penalties and fines, I told you in deposits also and in the chapter of registration of charges, when you have these small chapters, their penalty provisions are very less. So you must learn them. And how you have to learn them? In front page of every chapter, just staple quick notes written by your own hands. Just write on the first page the penalties. So whenever you're revising, you just have to see the penalties on the first page and automatically the things will become simpler and you start learning. So jahan pe bhi thodi penalties hai, like audit ki penalties are very important. Many a time the question has come in MCQs related to this penalties from the audit chapter. So you must not leave it. You should do this penalty. Appointment of the auditor other than the retiring auditor. Who is the retiring auditor? The one who is leaving your firm. Now you need to appoint a new auditor. So special notice will be required to be sent and a resolution needs to be passed in the general meeting appointing a person other than the retiring auditor or expressly saying that the retiring auditor shall not be reappointed. So now I have already sent you a message that I have given a written understanding that I don't want to be reappointed, then that auditor cannot be reappointed. Or the retiring auditor has completed a consecutive period of 5 years, then also he cannot be appointed. So whenever you are appointing anybody else, what notice you have to give? You have to give a special notice as given under section 150. Company will forward this notice after receiving the notice of the resolution. Company, what will the company going to do? Company is going to forward the notice for the appointment of the new auditor. So it was the case of 5 years for the individual, and why it is written or the case may be 10 years. 10 years kiski case mein hota hai, children? Why have they written or the case may be 10 years? Please tell me. The case of 5 years is for the individual to be appointed as an auditor. What is the case of 10 years? For the audit firm, because audit firm can be appointed for the consecutive 10 years. First 5 years is appointment, another 5 years is reappointment, and then cooling period. Company will send the copy of it to the registrar after receiving it, and a representation has to be made. Notice is given to such resolution, and retiring auditor will make a representation. A written representation will be given by the auditor that why I should be appointed or why I should not be removed, whatever are the reasons. If he's being removed, removal hai, tab bhi written representation answers have to be given and reasons have to be given. And if he's then an oral representation shall be allowed by him to be made. Reasons have to be documented why he is not should not be removed, and written representation has to be given from the side of the company stating the reasons why he is being removed. Now, sometimes children, somebody is just trying to circulate defamatory matters related to an auditor. Say Mr. X is a very good auditor and the company is just spreading wrong words about him, and the company's personal grudges against Mr. X, and they're just spreading wrong things and being circulated and having written representations. Then such a aggrieved person, then such a aggrieved auditor can also file an application to the tribunal. He can go to the tribunal and file it in the NCLT one form by saying that this kind of defamatory matters, either the company or the aggrieved person. Maybe he is resigning and auditor is spreading wrong words about the company, then company can go to the tribunal. Or if the aggrieved auditor feels that something defamatory is coming up against him, which actually he has not done anything wrong, but still he's being put blames, then also he can go to the tribunal and he can ask them that I should not be, these kind of matters should not be circulated. Then tribunal, if he is justified that these things are happening, he will pass an order that representation should not be read out. These kind of representations then shall not be read out by the company in the general. Is that clear? Written representations have to be done, but if any defamatory matters are there, order has been passed by the tribunal, then these matters are not to be read out. Now, the third case is where tribunal is going to change the order. Section 140 में हम 3 cases पढ़ रहे हैं. Number 1, where the auditor is getting removed from his place, special notice, central government by the board. Second is by the shareholder. In case of government company, 30 days to the C&AG, and normal company, 30 days to the registrar. You're making an application. Resignation of the auditor is happening. Removal of the auditor is happening either by the central government's permission, shareholders, or by the tribunal. This is the third case where tribunal is going to change the order, change the auditor. But in between this point number 2, 3 and 4 were resignation of the auditor, where the auditor is resigning himself. Okay, so don't get confused. Removal and resignation 140, dono cheeze cover kar. Fifth point specifically is going to talk about tribunal is going to change the order. Can the tribunal change your auditor? Yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am? Tribunal खुद से suo motu change कर सकता है आपको auditor. Why do you think there will be need of tribunal to step in and change the order? Tribunal may suo motu make an application to the central government NCLT 9 form, or an application to the concerned person that if he is satisfied that the auditor is acting in a fraudulent manner, auditor कुछ गलत कर रहा है, गड़बड़ कर रहा है, या फिर in relation to company or directors, he is ordering, tribunal can order the company that yes, now some fraud is happening, you need to change your auditor. Or instead of directing the company, can you read the lines in the board in my presentation? Instead of directing the company, tribunal itself can also change the auditor. First, tribunal will go and tell the company NCLT 9 form में application आया, so he will go and pass the order. Tribunal suo motu will pass the order that company something fraudulent is happening. Please go and change your order. He is directing the company, giving orders to it. But in certain cases where he is satisfied, application has been made by the central government. CG ने आकर अगर application करा है and he is satisfied that really something urgent requirement to change the order, then within 15 days he will make an order that this auditor shall not be working as your auditor, and central government will appoint the auditor in his place. And if such severe conditions happen, this auditor will not be eligible to be appointed for next 5 years, and 447 will also become applicable on him as a criminal liability. In case of a fraud, he will also be charged on the 447. Children, are you understanding? Tribunal wala sabko samajh aaya? So 3 cases we have discussed in case of a tribunal. Number 1, tribunal on suo motu and an application made by CG or by any other person in NCLT 9 form. He can order the company directly or indirectly to change the auditor in case of any fraudulent matters or abated or concluded in fraud or in relation to company director's office. मतलब सारों में क्या meaning निकल कर आ रहा है? अगर कुछ भी इनसे related fraud करा है, any kind of fraud is involved, he can direct the company to change the order. If he feels there is an urgent need, application has been made by central government and is satisfied that the order shall be changed immediately, then within 15 days, he will pass an order that this person will not function as an auditor. And who is going to appoint the auditor? Central government is going to appoint the auditor in his place. And third point is, any individual or firm against whom the final order has been given by the tribunal under 140, 5 साल के लिए, he cannot work as an auditor, not be eligible to be appointed, and also 447 will become applicable. What is 447, children? What is section 447? Chapter number 3, prospectus. Somewhere in the last pages, you have read about 447, fraud. Abhishek Singh, fraud. Om Krishnam, fraud. Swati say fraud. It is the penalty to be charged for the fraud. Very good. So 447 is very, very important. Usko to learn by heart kar hi lena. Wherever you get the reference, you can write down 447 provisions also. In case of a firm, liability will be of the firm and partners who have acted in a fraudulent manner or relation to the company. So in case of the firm, it is the liability of shall be of the firm. Okay? And for every partners. Is that correct, children? Everyone is clear about section 140, 139 and 140 we have completed. Now we are moving to section number 141. Any doubts still here? So who shall be eligible to be appointed as the auditor? Qualification and disqualification. Let me see. Divyanshi Garg, have you understood everything? Any doubts? Okay, Divyanshi is also sending the correct answers. Okay, no doubts. Who has written this? Okay, Ritu has written, understood everything. Om Krishnam. Good. Let's move to the eligibility, qualification and disqualification of auditors, section 141. Auditor shall be a CA in practice. Do you feel good reading this line? Do you feel happy that it is talking about us only? Chartered accountants who are in practice can be appointed as the auditor. A firm where majority of the members are chartered accountants can also be appointed as the auditor. If you are not in practice and you're working as a consultant or maybe as a job, if you're doing some job, can you be appointed as an auditor? You're not having a certificate of practice. Can you be appointed as an auditor? Good. All of you have given the correct answer. No, ma'am. Certificate of practice is compulsory. Then only you're qualified to be appointed by your firm's name. You will be appointed as the auditor. Either a CA in practice or the firm where majority of CAs are in practice, that firm can be appointed as the auditor. Who can sign as an auditor? Only the chartered accountant in practice can sign as an auditor. If you're working in some other field, there is a chartered accountant who is not holding certificate of practice and he's employed with ICICI Bank. He's working as assistant vice president. Can he go and sign the audit as an auditor in some companies' financials data? Why will he sign? He's working as a banker. He's not even having COP, certificate of practice. He cannot be appointed as an auditor and he cannot sign. So you cannot be just being a chartered accountant, even sign any audit papers. You need to have a certificate of practice, and only the CAs who are in practice can sign the audit. They can only do the audit, number 1, eligibility, and they can only sign the audit. A firm including LLP is appointed. Can LLP be appointed as an auditor? Only the partners who are chartered accountant will be authorized to sign. CAs के अलावा भी अगर कोई partners है LLP में तो वो नहीं sign करेंगे, CAs sign करेंगे. Can LLP no लिख रहे हो? इसका आंसर लिख रहे हो no बेटा और previous one. Can LLP be appointed as an auditor? Yes, ma'am, is the correct answer. Yes, Abhishek. LLP can be appointed because LLP is again limited liability partnership. It is a partnership firm only, but it is having limited liability. So LLP can be appointed as an auditor, and the partners who are qualified chartered accountants in that firm, they can only sign. Disqualification of auditors. Following are the people who will not be qualified to be appointed as the auditor of the company. First 2 points are clear. Number 1 point was for the CN practice, can be appointed as an auditor. Second is for the signing of the audit. Third is for the disqualification. Now it has A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I points. These are the points which we need to learn. These are the people who cannot be appointed as the auditor. So this section 141 is very easy. It talks in a negative sense that disqualification किसकी, ये वाले बंदे auditor नहीं appoint हो सकते. They cannot be appointed as the auditor. So the first category is body corporate other than LLP. So what does it mean? Can LLP be appointed as an auditor? Yes, ma'am. LLP can be appointed as an auditor, but any other body corporate other than LLP. So LLP is also body corporate, remember? LLP you have done in CA Foundation. LLP is also body corporate, means company में auditor appoint हो सकती है, firm हो सकती है, but company में LLP को छोड़ दिया उन्होंने. क्योंकि body corporate क्या होता है? Company, Indian company or a foreign company. So wherever we use the word body corporate, it includes foreign company also. That's why the word body corporate is being used. Any officer or employee of the company. So there is a company, ABC Limited, and they need to appoint an auditor. In ABC Limited, Mr. Harsh is working as a chartered accountant. Can that chartered accountant be appointed as the auditor of that company? Why? All of you have written no. Why? Yes, Khushbu says yes. Okay, no is the correct answer, but why no? Because he himself is an employee of that company. He is the one who is preparing the accounts. He is the one working as a accountant over there. Good, Swati. So you cannot appoint him. Section 141 में एक तो disqualification straight away दिया हुआ है that any person who is an officer and employee of the company cannot be appointed. And secondly, it will be duplication of the work. You are only making your accounts. How will you audit them yourself? So it is not allowed. So number 1, body corporate other than LLP. Number 2, officer or employee of the company cannot be appointed as the auditor. Who is the number 3 category? A person who is a partner or who is in employment or an officer or employee of the company. So there is a person who is partner or employee of an officer or employee of the company. So Mr. Harsh was your employee of the company. Now a person who is a partner, Mr. Harsh ka partner hai. He is also employed somewhere else. So either the officer or employee himself is not qualified to be appointed as an auditor. And if the officer or employee is having any person who is a partner of them and who is also in the employment, that person will also be disqualified from being appointed as the auditor of the company. So first point is body corporate other than LLP. Second and third point are related. Second is officer and employee of the company. And then a person who is a partner of an officer or employee of the company. A person who himself or his partner is holding any security or interest. Now, this is very interesting. A person, there is a person, his relative or his partner is disqualified if he holds security in cash, either in the holding company, subsidiary company, associate company, in any of these companies. Either the person himself is holding any security or interest in which companies, in the holding, subsidiary, associate of all these companies, or his relative or partner is holding. What kind of interest she is holding? The only exception is where the relative holds a security up to the value of rupees 1 lakh, exact 1 lakh value if you're holding, then you're accepted. Then exception is given. That means then you can be qualified as an auditor. But if you or your partner as a relative, if you're holding the security of more than the face value of rupees 1 lakh, then you are disqualified from being appointed as an auditor. Are you clear? Listen to an example. I'm going to ask you an example. There is Mr. A who is working as a relative of a partner. Mr. A is a relative of a partner. He is holding 97,000 face value of shares. Is he disqualified? A partner, his relative, Mr. A, is having the interest in the company of rupees 99,000 face value of shares he is holding. Can we say he's disqualified or he's not disqualified from being appointed? What is the value that has to be seen? 1 lakh rupees is the value of securities. Even up till 1 lakh, if you're holding the bacha, you're not disqualified. 1 lakh 1,000, 1 lakh 1 rupee, more than 1 lakh you're holding, then you're disqualified. Another important point. If at any time the shareholding of this relative goes beyond 1 lakh, then dash time period is given to the partners to take a corrective action. How many days time period is given to take the corrective action? Abhishek saying if Harsh has the certificate of practice, then if he's auditing any other company, then that will be a different scenario. First of all, you are in the employment. So in the employment, you cannot have dual employment that I'm working as an employee also and I'm having my own practice also. So there can be a case I'm working as a certificate of practice for my companies and I'm employed somewhere else. But in that company, I cannot do. Okay. Very good, everyone. 60 days is the time period given for the corrections. Excellent. Up till 1 lakh, तो कोई problem है ही नहीं है. You will not be disqualified. Beyond 1 lakh, if your shareholdings goes, then 60 days will be given to you to take a corrective action so that if your shareholdings goes beyond 1 lakh, then you will not be disqualified. Otherwise, he will have to vacate his office. He will not be qualified for being appointed as an auditor. All right. Children, I request you to go through these provisions from the study material. I'm going to just take break for 2-3 minutes over here. Section 140. Sorry, 141. Let's wind it up further now. So till point number A, B, C, we have done. D is also covered. Now let's move to point number E. A person whose relative is holding the security either in the company, subsidiary, holding or associate up till the face value of 1 lakh we have discussed, he is not disqualified. The moment you're holding more than 1 lakh, 60 days are given to you for the corrective action to be taken. Otherwise, you will be held liable. No doubt still here? Well done. Okay. Now let's move to point number G. A person who himself as a partner, point number F, sorry. A person who himself or whose partner or relative is indebted to the company or subsidiary holding associate or subsidiary of holding such company in excess of rupees 5 lakhs. Indebted means you have given certain money to the company. Udhar diya hua hai aapne. Company has to pay you back. So if you as a person or your partner or relative is indebted to the company for up till more than rupees 5 lakh, then again you are disqualified. And holding of all of these relatives is to be taken in aggregate, child. Not just one of the person holding 50,000, 60,000. The totality of the aggregate of the value has to be taken for rupees 1 lakh and 5 lakhs. So if there is a partner, Mr. X, his relative, Mr. Y, has given certain amount of loan to the company or to the subsidiary of such company of value of rupees 5 lakhs. Can we say that he is disqualified from being appointed as an auditor? If a CA holding securities and he can hold the companies as an auditor after selling the securities. Yes, Abhishek saying, as far as you're not holding the securities on that very date, that is the limit that they have set, then yes, you can be appointed as the auditor. Excellent answer, Swati. That was the correct answer. Abhishek Om Krishna, why have you not answered this one, beta? So no was the correct answer because up till 5 lakhs, if you have given the amount indebted, then you're not disqualified. So the exact limits has to be seen. This is what the examiner is going to give you in the question. He will give the exact limit and you will think that, okay, 1 lakh, 5 lakh ki to limit thi wahan pe, to fir he is disqualified. Answer is no. Up till rupees 5 lakh, he is not disqualified. Read the word carefully in point number F. It is written the last line, in excess of rupees 5 lakhs. Face value exceeding rupees 1 lakh. So अगर 1 lakh या 5 lakh से ज्यादा है, then you are disqualified. Up till 1 lakh and 5 lakh, you are not disqualified. Okay, correct, Khushbu, good. G. A person or whose relative or partner has given any guarantee to the company in connection with the indebtedness of any third person. Now, what is the meaning of the word guarantee? Any third person has given any loan to the company. Just 1 second, children. Yes. Any person or whose relative has given any guarantee to the company for the indebtedness of any third person. Now, guarantee has been given means somebody is giving loan to the company and you are giving guarantee that, okay, fine, I give the guarantee for this person that this person will be returning your money. So now, even if this guarantee or security has been given up till rupees 1 lakh, if you have given the guarantee, then you're not disqualified. If you have given the guarantee or indebtedness more than rupees 1 lakh, then yes, you are disqualified. So what are the points of disqualification? Number 1, if you're LLP, are you disqualified? Yes and no. Jaldi answer karte jao. Let's learn it. If you're LLP, are you disqualified? No, ma'am. LLP is not disqualified. Body corporate other than LLP, disqualified? Yes or no? Good. Officer or employee of the company, qualified or disqualified? Use the word D for disqualified, Q for qualified. Okay. Jaldi ho jayega. Good. Everybody nice. A person who is a partner of an officer or employee. So you are the officer of the company. I am your partner. I am a qualified or disqualified? A partner of the officer or employee is disqualified. Very good. If my relative, if I am a partner of a company and my relative has given the interest or securities in your company of rupees 2 lakh, I'm qualified or disqualified? If the relative of the partner or the partner himself is holding indebted to the company for rupees 8 lakhs, qualified, disqualified? If a partner person himself or his relative has given guarantee to the company of rupees 95,000, qualified, disqualified. Excellent. Wonderful answers given by all of you. Wonderful answers. Good. Good. So now let's move to the last point, that is H point. A person or a firm who's directly or indirectly is having any business relationship with the company or its subsidiary holding or associate company, then also you are disqualified. So there is any person, Mr. X, he's having a business relationship with your company, he cannot be appointed as an auditor. There is a firm, PwC or KPMG, he's having business connections with your firm, he cannot be appointed as, he'll be again disqualified for being appointed as the auditor. So I give you 2 minutes, just go through this point number A and H, A to H, and see if there is any doubt. You can raise your hands if you have any doubt. Everyone just go through and let me know if you have any doubts. Yes, no doubts, children. H point is also clear. So if there is a firm KPMG and they have been appointed as the auditors, okay, Abhishek Singh, I will answer your query. And they are having business connections, you can say that they have signed an agreement with your company to give you any other kind of qualification and work as well. Can KPMG be appointed as an auditor of your company? Excellent. As soon as you hear the word business connections, whether with the company itself or with the subsidiary, the questions will not be such straightforward, children. That's because we are doing it right now. So the things seem very simpler, but then you have to be very, very careful while answering the questions over there. They will be giving you a holding company, subsidiary company, or you are a director in an associate company and the linking is coming up with the director of the KPMG. Then these kind of business connections, simply you have to remember that it will be disqualification. Okay, now the query raised by Abhishek Singh. Abhishek is asking, only relative can hold securities up to rupees 1 lakh. Only relative can hold securities. So relative or the person himself. Let's read the point number D. A person himself or his partner is holding any security or interest in any of these companies. A person, his partner is holding any securities himself or all, along with his relatives or a partner. So together you have to see the limit of 1 lakh. Either himself, a person whose relative is holding the security of face value of 1 lakh, that is the exception which is given over there, child. You yourself are holding any security in any of the company, there is no limit. The limit which has been given is only for the relative. Okay, so Abhishek Singh, have you understood? Your point is correct where you're asking only relative can hold the security. So that is the exception that has been given. In case you as a partner you're holding, then there is no exception, then you're disqualified. But the relative can hold up till rupees 1 lakh. But the point number F, G and H, F and G, both the person himself and relative are disqualified. Clear? Okay, Khushbu is asking point number E. Khushbu, point number E says a person whose relative is holding any security. This is what I just explained, child. So point number E is related to point number D. Basically, point number E is the exception for the point number D. So point number D is saying that if you are holding security or interest in any of the company, then you're disqualified. But if your relative is holding, then up till rupees 1 lakh, they are allowed, they are not disqualified. All right. Understood, everyone? Okay. So students, I'll complete the point of qualifications and disqualifications. Let's quickly see point number H. We have seen point number I. A person who is relative is a director or is in the employment of the company or key managerial personnel. A person who is in the full-time employment elsewhere, see, then he is also not allowed to be a qualified to be an auditor. Because if you are already working as a director in a company, how can you be the auditor of another company? You have to be in practice at that time. And if you're in full-time employment, how can you be in practice of your own also? So if you're in full-time employment, generally people are doing business. When they are doing certain business, they're also having COP, they're also in practice. Then you can do the audit of other companies. But not like that you are in being employment also somewhere else and then you're holding, then you're disqualified. A person or a partner of firm holding appointment acts auditor if the partner on the date of appointment or holding is not more than 20 companies. So you cannot be an auditor of more than 20 companies. So 20 companies is the limit which is set up under section 141. Relatives definition, Abhishek Singh, you have to refer to the same definition that we have done in the chapter preliminary. So again, there whatever step relations were given over there, that will also be included. Okay. Up till 20 companies, you can do the audit, but not more than 20 companies. If any person who has been convicted means usko jail hua hai by court for an offense involving fraud for period of 10 years has not elapsed. So that means if you are an auditor, Mr. X, and you have been convicted, you have been put behind the bars. So at least 10 years should have passed from the date of conviction. After 10 years, you can still be eligible to become an auditor of the company, but for 10 years, you are debarred, you cannot be eligible, you are disqualified. A person who is directly or indirectly rendering any services under section 144 to the company or any. So 144, I told you, we'll be doing in one detail in 144. 144, children, talk about the specific services which you cannot provide as an auditor. See, 143 is so long, which we are going to discuss in the next class. These are the services under 144. If you're doing accounting and bookkeeping services, if you're doing the internal audit of the same company, you're into designing and implementation of financial information system, actuarial services, then you are disqualified. You cannot be doing the same functions of the company, and then you cannot be the same time, you cannot be the auditor of the company. All right. All right. Just a second. All right, students. Where were we? So where the person is appointed, are you clear? Section 144. So if you're providing any services related to 144, then also you will be disqualified for being appointed as the auditor. And where a person appointed as an auditor incurs any of these disqualifications after his appointment, he will have to vacate his office, and this vacation will deem to be the casual vacancy. Now, what is the meaning of this point number 4? Now, you have been appointed as an auditor of the company, and at the same time, you become and join any employment, full-time employment also. Immediately, you need to vacate the office of the company where you have been appointed as an auditor, and casual vacancy is set to be created. Yes, it's a deemed vacancy. Very good, Swati. Another point, you were holding the office of a company as an auditor, and your relative has now holding the security in the same company for rupees 2 lakh. Again, deemed casual vacancy needs to occur. At the same time, you have been appointed as an auditor, you become disqualified under because of the services of 144. The company has appointed you at the same time for the actuarial services also. then again you become disqualified to be appointed as the auditor. All right. So we have completed section 139, section 140, and section 141. I will show you the same points from the study material also. Along with the rules, we have covered these points. Anyone has any doubts? Raise your hands. Hanji students, any doubts till section 141? So this manner of rotation, all these points we have covered, and this is the transitional provision which I was trying to show you. You must go through all these examples, children. So this is your transitional provision where I was telling you 3 years extended time period is given. So for 5 years, you have been appointed. Om Krishnam Gupta says all clear, ma'am. So good child, well done. So as discussed, we have done the topics, what we have thought for today. And maybe in the next class, I will take little more extended class so that we can finish off the chapter or whole chapter also. So for 10 years or more, again, 3 years time period will be given. So now here where the problem comes, it is before the consecutive 10 years. Earlier, this consecutive time period was not given. So if we talk about the rotation in case of the audit firm, 10 years time period has to be seen. So additional 3 years can be given for the transitional provision. Again, here 5 years have lapsed, still 3 years can be given. So again, 4 years, 3 years can be given. 1 year, 4 years have to be given. Why? Because you still have the term to be completed for 5 years. Similarly, here 1 year, 9 years can be given so that you can complete the term of 10 years. All right. So this is all about the cooling period that we have discussed in detail. Illustrations, you must go through all the illustrations. This is about your government company, children, which we have discussed. 60 days provision, filing of the casual vacancy. Make short notes the way I have taught you about the casual vacancy, 30 days time period, 60 days time period. Short notes ban jayenge, so it becomes very easy for you to learn. Then audit committee's recommendation, we have discussed these points also. Section 40, you can refer to my notes for section 40. It has been given very briefly over there. And this is all your provision that I was showing you in the colorful provision of special notice. Then all these 3 forms, remind me, 3 forms we'll be seeing in the next class, ADT 1, ADT 2, and ADT 3 forms. Okay. All right, students. And this is your summary of subsection 5. What was this? When tribunal itself is filing the case for the passing the order for removal of the auditor. And this is your qualification and disqualification. All these points, A, B, C, D, they have given you illustrations also. Please go through all these illustrations so that you can understand each and every point in detail. Mr. P is a practicing chartered accountant. Q is the relative. This is the same example that I discussed with you. 90,000 security. Qualified, disqualified. Tell me illustration number 8. Q और D क्या आएगा इसमें? Qualified or disqualified? Very good. Qualified, right? Why are you saying Kushi disqualified? 90,000 है, 1 lakh के beyond is disqualified. So read it, revise it, and then find me all these illustrations. Okay? Anyone has any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, we're covering up the further topics in the next. No doubts? All right. Good. Ritu, Khushbu, everybody's saying no doubts. Devyanshi, if you have any doubts, the students in the portal. Okay. All right, students, then we'll be covering the topic in the next class. Thank you, Swati. I'm glad you enjoyed the lecture. Thank you so much. Please revise, children, whatever we have done in today's class, and next lecture will be little extended. So plan your time accordingly. All right, sir, we are done. And yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll be taking the next topics in the extended class.